In the United States, a federal judge has ruled that President Trump acted illegally in deploying the National Guard and Marines in California. The use of military forces to conduct work normally done by police has been outlawed since 1870s. The ruling has implications for the use of National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. and their possible use in Chicago.
Summer began with riots and protests in Los Angeles when the Trump administration took over California's National Guard and put them on the street to confront protests against a clampdown on undocumented immigrants. The state governor sued the president for abuse of power, and today a federal judge in California ruled the president was wrong to use the military to police civilians. There are just 300 National Guards still on the streets of LA. But here in Washington, 800 guardsmen have been deployed to patrol the streets. Nobody is really sure what the military are actually doing here, but they are the most eye-catching part of an anti-crime sweep, with the president using his constitutional powers over the District of Columbia to seize control of policing during a 30-day period of emergency rule. A surge of FBI, DEA and ATF officers has pushed serious crime numbers in Washington down, with robberies, car thefts and assaults all down compared to the same period last year. Homicides were running at half the rate of last year, and DC's signature crime, carjacking, has fallen by 87%.
What hasn't worked, in my opinion, and hasn't been efficient and is not on mission is National Guard troops, especially from other states.
DC is not a state. Ultimately, law enforcement here is a matter for the president and Congress. But in the 50 states, each governor controls the National Guard, and the president is only supposed to send in the feds if the governor asks. So, while President Trump has been talking about sending the military to Chicago, the governor of Illinois is vehemently opposed.
Donald Trump wants to use the military to occupy a U.S. city, punish his dissidents, and score political points.
You know, when I have some slob like Pritzker criticizing us before we even go there, I made the statement that next should be Chicago, because as you all know, Chicago's a killing field right now.
Today's court ruling does have implications for the deployment of the National Guard here in Washington, D.C. and in other states. But of course, there will be further court appeals as well.
Well, Sean joins us now for more on this. And Sean, this issue of the use of the National Guard to combat crimes in cities is still becoming a huge issue in the United States.
Absolutely, Vivian. I mean, we saw back in the start of the summer those dreadful scenes of disorder down in Los Angeles when the National Guard and Marine Corps were deployed onto the streets of the city. It quietened down since then, but the legal process is carried on, and that's why we have a judge today issuing that ruling. It is under appeal. Has until the 12th of September to lodge a formal appeal for the court. So that issue will get kicked into touch, but it is going to go on and on. As you say, in the past hour, President Trump has been holding a news conference. He was asked about that ruling, and he's doubled down on his intention to send the National Guard into Chicago. He says he doesn't need the permission of the governor there, Governor J.B. Pritzker, who has been very, very active over the past week, pushing back, resisting the notion that the National Guard should be deployed in his state and in the city of Chicago in particular. Now, Chicago did have a very bad weekend of violence. 9 people were shot dead, 50 injured. It was a very, very rough Labour Day weekend in that city. Is that the right reason to deploy the National Guard? Well, traditionally, no, it isn't. I mean, people don't deploy the military to pursue law enforcement. The governor of Maryland, neighbouring state, has been making the same point. He's a military veteran himself. But President Trump doubled down today, said both Baltimore and Chicago are next on his list for deploying the National Guard. So you're right, Vivian, this issue has not gone away. It's probably going to get bigger and bigger.
Sean, thank you.